Hey everyone, welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. This is your host, Stacey Lauren. Well, I'm excited. I got to meet my next guest through two different referrals, people telling me I have to meet him, which is always like a reason why I'm like, okay, I guess we really got to have a conversation. And I'm like really looking forward to, it's funny when you get to meet people and then you get to do a podcast with them, it's a whole nother level of getting to understand what they do. And so he's an author. He's like went to Stanford. Like he has all these different things that he's done in his life. So I'm excited to explore more about the work he's doing, who he's helping in the world. And I can't wait for you guys to meet him too, because when you meet someone that's doing the thing and that's creating a big impact in the world and that's helping people, there's so much synergy that can come from that. And I'm excited to have you feel it as well. So looking forward to this interview, welcoming Rand to the show. Hi, Rand.
Hey, it's just great to be here. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. I'm so excited because, it is funny. I know Sue connected me to you, who I love and adore, and then Jennifer Hill, who I also love and adore. And it's like, and they're totally different, like sides of the, like in terms of what they do and who they are. So I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, we definitely have to do this.
Right, it is. Right, it is. Well, of course, you've got something really good going on. So being included and being your guest is a treat. So
Aw,
thank
thank
you.
you. Thanks so much. Well, for everyone listening, I would love to hear about you. If you could go into who you are, what you're doing, and then let's hear your do the thing story.
Yeah, well, so I've had over a decade long career as an investment banker. I have run my own firm, so I'm an entrepreneur as well.
Hmm.
My firm was just named the best investment banking firm in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Wow.
And that comes, I know why. Our firm is not the best known and it's not the largest, but it came about because we understand absolutely what relationship is all about.
Wow.
And we know how to build trust and we know how to commit and get things done in partnership with our clients. So I've been doing that all along. I've been on many boards. I've been a scoutmaster. I've mentored people. But starting 6 years ago, I started writing my book, Thriving: How to Create a Healthier, Happier, and More Prosperous Life. And so this is now my mission to engage with as many people as I can, people in all stages of life, about the possibility of getting on this path to thriving. And a lot of things hold people back. So I'm exploring that with them. Uh, we can make choices. We can drive our own bus. We can be the author of our own stories. And I just want to be a voice for encouragement and inspiration for folks to to start either thriving or thriving even more.
I love that. And we share a love for relationships. That's one of the things I've been shouting into the ethers, right? Is like, how do we get to know each other through all the
Yeah.
craziness that happens in the world? I'd love to kind of like learn, even like about your book story, and like where that came
Yeah.
from and like what made you decide to write it and how has it been for you since the book has come out?
Well, I've always been a very organized kind of person. And actually, going back to high school, I started collecting articles and quotes and jotting down little thoughts of my own. And, I had this 4 foot stack of papers in my office. I'd see it like every time I looked over at that pile. And I'd say, there's several books in there, and there's several books inside me. What am I going to do about it? So, finally, I said, okay, here's the chance I can create a book, which I thought of originally as a legacy project for family and dear friends. And so I wrote this manuscript. It took me a while to take the 4 foot stack and make it, chunk it into files, which ultimately became the chapters for the book. And then I wrote the manuscript. I sent it to 3 friends and said, tell me what you think. They knew me very well. Several of them were authors. And I said, I'm not really concerned about the typos. I'm just, would love to know whether there's something that was confusing, something that was
Mhm.
missing, that kind of thing. And they all came back within a couple of weeks. So they took their time. They were serious about it. And they basically said no. So I said, "Oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that." They said, "No, no, this is not a legacy project. This isn't a small little thing that goes out to 100 or a couple hundred people. This is something big. You've got to get
Mm.
this in the hands for as many people as you possibly can." Well, that was lovely to hear, and of course, they had other really good constructive comments. So on and on, I published the book, and I also did the audio book, which was
Mm.
another adventure. Oh my gosh. Wow. So I've taken this on. This whole publishing thing is just one new thing after another. I've been a
Mhm.
reader since I was a little kid. I love reading, but sort of like the Wizard of Oz, pull back the curtain. What's behind? And I didn't know. I didn't know what it took to write a book and get it published. And my publisher said, you know, writing and publishing a book is fantastic. It's hard to do. Very, very few people actually get that done. But guess what? You'd be a one-third of the way done, because what you then have to do is, if you believe in your book, you've got to get the word out that it's
Mhm.
there and tell people why it would be possibly a good book for them. So I've been on that.
That's great. And then so this is something I love. Oh man, my comfort circles are over there. I'm like going to go get them.
Did you say comfort circus?
Yeah, it's you're speaking my language. I like you when I bring out my comfort circles. Yeah. So I spent like 5 years. I spent 5 years figuring out this framework. For those of you listening, you already know what I'm doing. I'm showing the comfort circles, but where it's like the person's comfort zone, where like the horse, the no message yet, find your voice, share your voice, monetize, create your movement, global reach. And that's the part, like it's so hard. Like I remember this with my TEDx talk, like the part where like it's so hard to do the thing, you got to like do all the stuff that it takes to like write it, publish it, right, in your mind, and then all of a sudden now you got to like share it, tell people about it. And how has that been for you? I love kind of like because it's sometimes it could be really hard for people, to do that step.
Well, at the core of this, I absolutely believe in this book. I
Yeah.
believe I am a poster child for thriving. I take it very seriously, but also with a lightness and a humor, so it's not drudgery in any way. I
Yeah.
love meeting people, even though I'm an introvert. People are shocked when I say that, but by technical definition, an introvert is somebody who needs to get away after a whole lot of activity and rest and recuperate. I do my absolute best work, quietly by
Yeah.
myself. I don't go into a meeting without, thinking hard about the meeting and who's going to be at the meeting, what the agenda should be. And then I share my thoughts at the outset or before the meeting so that we can come together and be aligned about what we're trying to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this has been terrific. I've been on
Like,
close to 130
yeah.
podcasts and public talks, and they're very different. A public talk where you can actually look out at somebody, get a question, speak to them and
Yeah.
their issue personally is different than doing a podcast. But I love both of them, and it's been an adventure, but a very pleasant one, very good one.
Okay, so this is great because now you're going to help all the authors that have a book that maybe they're like scared to promote it or they feel whatever, right? So it sounds like what you're doing is you're tapping into the person that's going to read it and what they're going to feel about it. And so maybe just help that person that still has that message and, they're like, okay, now I've got to tell people about it.
Yeah. Well, you can, as an author, get very fixated on making it correct. Having it
Yeah.
all the commas and it read well, and insert little things that are enjoyable, or take a pause for the reader. Those are good things to do, absolutely. But you really got to start with yourself and say, why am I writing this book and who am I writing it for? You got to keep thinking about that, keep thinking of that, and maybe get feedback along the way, before it's actually published. Once you do that, that's a very powerful starting place. But then you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that, yes, you got to commit to getting it done, and you got to remember the 1/3 is great, but you got 2/3 to do. So you got to keep talking to people, not like selling. It's not about that. It's about taking your reason for writing the book out there. Maybe it's a children's book. Maybe it's a sci-fi thing. There's something that initiated your excitement to put all that hard work into it. You just got to keep tapping back into those reserves and sharing that. You'll know when you're in the zone,
Mm-hmm.
and you're alive with what you're doing and why you're doing it. So it's a long story. The publishing business is it's a business, and you have to know that. There are some characters running around who are very happy to charge you a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they're not going to do much for you. So you got to be on the lookout for that. If you can engage with assistants where you pay for what you get, of course, that's a lot better. That's
Yeah.
a whole lot better if you can get that arrangement going. And then just take care of yourself. Very different from my experience completing over 250 very complex business transactions, selling companies and buying out partners, where there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. This does not seem to have that. Yes, I remember the beginning, but I'm not sure if I'm anywhere close to the middle. And, it's just on, and nearly every day, certainly every week, there's a new opportunity. Somebody's knocking on the door saying, hey, we'd like to work with you on this aspect of your book. And I go, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, no, it's so good. I actually recently started helping authors launch their books using community and engagement and relationships, and that's been really fun. But I've definitely seen, well, actually, I have a trick now because before it was hard for them to want to actually tell people about their book, because of feeling whatever we all feel when we're doing that kind of thing. But I just started mixing a cause to it. So it makes them now feel better, like they are able to, have their book actually help people, but then also now support some kind of like nonprofit or impact cause that might mean something to them
Oh,
too.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can imagine a lot of people feeling, energized by that connection. Yeah,
Which now
good.
brings up the perfect opportunity for me to ask you, because a lot of things like you're like an expert on helping people live fulfilled lives. I was curious what your kind of perception of the like philanthropy is on that, and where does that like tie into the things that you're doing too, in terms of telling people to like find a volunteer thing or something that fulfills you in a deeper way.
Well, my book is organized in 4 sections: thriving
Hmm.
personally, which is so foundational, it's half the book. Then it's thriving with others, which is about building relationships and looking into the organizational world, the difference between being a leader and a manager. Section 3 is about being thriving out in the world, which is
Hmm.
very much about service.
Hmm.
Whether that's and charity and philanthropy, and another chapter in that section, which is about taking care of Mother Nature. And
Hmm.
just to round out, the fourth section is thriving by moving ever forward in life. So, clearly a huge part of what I think thriving is about is this whole concept of being of service and using your financial goods, even if it's small, $10 and $25 gifts to either somebody in need or a cause that you really believe in. This we need to do, and we need to take care of our planet. I believe that in sort of every cell of my body.
Hmm. Yeah, so good. And what do you think, like, because one of the things I've been working with, and I think that's why Jen had connected us to, is the $1 billion impact work that I'm doing, is, and I love this because this is your expertise of helping people live these more fulfilled lives. One of the things I'm working on is connecting like businesses, like companies that want to have a bigger purpose and mission for their business, by connecting them to, if they're not already connected to some kind of philanthropic mission or nonprofit cause or something where you can get your people invested. And then even you as a leader, I'm just curious if that's work like what you think about it, or if you have any, yeah, general thoughts too.
Well, I fully endorse what you're doing. It's marvelous. A lot of people and our society in general is very confused about success.
Hmm.
And it gets people into a lot of problems: burnout, working too hard, issues where they're spending way too much time trying to make money and selling rather than building relationships, not enough time taking care of themselves or family, or being service outside the organization they're working in. So it's a very big issue. I recently wrote, talking about a movement. I
Mm.
recently wrote an article or did an interview with Authority Magazine,
Mm.
talking about redefining success. And as I talk about it, I'm basically suggesting that, yes, of course, you need some financial wherewithal to get on in life, but it's not nearly as much as a lot of people think it is. And what success is, you can sort of think of the world as two parts. Each of our lives is two parts. There's a doing world and a being world. We're in both of those. The doing world is very external. It's about having a title. It's about having goals. It's about making money and spending money. The being world is the internal world. It's about how you feel. It's about being fulfilled and being at peace and being a certain kind of person, like being kind and charitable and respectful, taking care of yourself, loving others. And so this article talks about five foundational elements that I am hoping to, maybe with your help, create a movement
Mm.
around redefining success. And those five, just very quickly, are focus first on being that kind of person,
Hmm.
and then doing. And if you do it that in that order, which is kind of the reverse order for most folks that I've come across, and that's thousands of people now, then what happens is something very profound. You're less stressed, you're happier, you're more fulfilled, and you have more impact.
Mm.
So bring you to the table before you start working on the doing. So that's number one. It's a very big deal. Number two is living with joy and happiness. And words matter, but those are two very different concepts. Joy is again a very internal thing. It's a long lasting thing, and it's different than happiness, which is enjoying a meal, having a nice conversation with somebody. It's an external kind of experience. So create that, live that. The third is having relationships that are deep and enduring. That's building the trust, getting feedback, offering assistance to people that you care about, and moving up the ladder. I talk about in the book. There's a ladder that you can apply to building a better relationship. And I like to tell people that, if you're driving your bus
Mm.
and you're not driving through fog, you're not on autopilot, then you're deciding how fast to go and avoid overwhelm. You're deciding when to stop. We need to stop occasionally, go out in nature, just relax and calm ourselves, be quiet. We decide when to turn right or left, which is life is full of transitions. We're deciding who to invite on our bus. We need to have more relationships. It's great. And it's one of my dad's great gifts. Have friends of all ages, people who are older, maybe a lot older, and people who are half your age or so. And then sometimes you have to invite people off your bus. And there's a way to do that firmly, but very kindly, saying, hey, we've had a very long relationship over 10 years. We've done a lot of really great things together. But we've drifted apart.
Hmm.
And, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for our friendship for all those years. But it's now time for us to move on. So I'm wishing you all the best,
Hmm.
and let it go. So that's another element, building relationships. Number four of the five is aging well. So aging well is about vitality. It's not about longevity. And I have
Wow.
a talk that goes in 10 ingredients about what is aging well all about. And it includes having purpose and
Mm.
being positive. These are enormously important things all the way to the end. And then lastly is committing to evolving, becoming the better person. You're a great person, and you know some things you could work on. So, keep doing that. Be curious, be a lifelong learner, and just embrace life. If you do those five things, I think that's an amazing redo of success. You do those five things, I think you'll be thriving. I think you'll be successful, and good things will be happening to you.
I love that. So how did you uncover that? Was that mostly through your kind of like legal career and getting to meet all the people that you're like talking to, or was it from personal, life? Just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah. It's so one of my degrees is in psychology and social psychology. So, I'm just very interested in why people are doing what they're doing. And I've had just a tremendous walk through life and taken on lots of different responsibilities and embraced opportunities to do things. So on boards as a scoutmaster and so on. So I've seen young people,
Mm,
I've seen people trying to come to terms with who they are if they're not working anymore. They
hmm.
call that retirement. I say, don't use that word, use rewirement and
Oh, I
open the door
love
to
that.
something new.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
great. So
It's
good.
just whoosh, go off the cliff. I've seen so many people doing that. So I think it's the observations that I've had. And, I've thought a lot about these things. So I've done a lot of research. The book has a certain degree of research that I refer to it as well. So,
Hmm. That's great. I love that. I could see rewirement really picking up because there's a lot of people. I'm actually doing this next month. I'm doing a future of leadership event with like a bunch of different events inside the event. And one of the ones is the exited founder that,
yeah.
has achieved all this success and is trying to figure out what to do now. There's that one. And
Oh,
we also have an Olympic gold medalist that's inside of my kind of like membership that I'm doing right now. And she talked about same thing, like the same idea of like you achieve this big success, you get your gold medal. Now, what are you supposed to do, right? In that transition. So I love that. You have to rewire to like get
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the problems with thinking about success just being a set of accomplishments.
Yeah.
It does not in any way reflect the totality of who you are. It doesn't really capture your feelings or your momentum.
Hmm. What do you think, being a leadership, I mean, your leadership also in this expert world, I'm like thinking of just all the things that you've done and are doing now, with the future of leadership. What do you kind of like think we're looking at now?
Well, I think in some ways the issues are the same as they've been for 100 years or more. Putting people together, distinguish between leadership and management. They're two different things.
Hmm.
I have a chapter in my book about that. Leadership is about having vision and articulating that vision, inviting people in. So creating a culture where people can say, "Wow, I see the vision, and can I add some color? Can I add a
Hmm.
shape over here?" And the answer is yes. Empower them. Let's see. Let's take a look at that. Where management is getting things done. It's Stephen Covey quote that is just great. Uh, Management is climbing the ladder of success, where leadership is making sure the ladder's on the right wall.
I love that.
So,
So
in
good.
some ways, those are bedrock. They're not changing because people are fundamentally people. But we are facing some very interesting questions. AI has to be
Hmm.
a factor in that. What does that mean? What does that mean for our critical thinking skills? What does it mean for job positions? I'm not worried about that. It's like the buggy whip issue. We'll get through it, and it will mean some significant changes. But I've used AI, and it's been a terrific leveraging tool. I'm delighted. But guardrails could be very important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And so, curious also, what has been the most like transformative lesson in your life? Like, what was something that was like really kind of like knocked you, and then you kind of like pushed
Yeah.
through?
Yeah. Well, again, it's something I talk about in the book, not in huge depth, but I wanted people to understand that I too have had struggles I've had to overcome.
Hmm.
And this is, what I'm talking about is not just because I was born with a silver spoon and, I'm Pollyanna by, male name. Um, I would say one is my relationship with my father. My father was a towering figure, very powerful and emotionally distant, very sort of classic, in that generation. But I had to come to terms. I was in my 40s when I did. I realized he was not going to change.
Hmm.
And if I wanted, I had to make a choice. Am I going to pursue my strategy, my, being right, or was I going to, care about the relationship with him? And I said, I have to choose, and I'm going to choose the relationship with him, which means that I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to respect him. I'm not going to keep challenging him, the young bull and old bull kind of thing. And it made a world of difference in my relationship with him. I buried him a year ago at Arlington National Cemetery, and I talk about him because he influenced me amongst other people and mentors and my mom. But overcoming that, I really had to come to terms with what it would take. And one of the things I called up one day a friend who's a therapist, and I said, "Hey, Eric, can we get together for a bite to eat or coffee? Something I want to talk to you about." He says, "Oh, you want to get together and talk about your dad again?"
Mm.
And I said, "Yes." So we got together. I told him what was going on. I said, "Rand, here's the thing. I recommend strongly you write a letter to the dad you wish you had, the dad you think you deserve.
Hmm.
Write a letter about the weekend you just spent together, this fictional weekend, how much conversation you had, how much you enjoyed being together. You're looking forward to the next visit. Create another person there."
Mm.
And so I did. So at that point, as soon as it took me about 5 drafts because the first few drafts were pretty angry, and finally let go of that and was able to write this letter. And of course, didn't send it. It's not that kind of letter.
Yeah.
Uh, but then I had two dads. I had the real dad, and I had this other dad who was sitting on my shoulder saying, "Wow, you're good. You go get them." So
Hmm.
it was very, very helpful. And
Wow.
I felt seen by
Mm.
somebody. It's hard to walk away from parents and think they're not important. They are. They're the starting point in your life, and it's hard to have a difficult relationship with them. So I'm very, very delighted I turned that around. And yeah, so that would be one of the things that I talk about. I talk about
Mm.
a health issue, having chronic eye inflammation,
Mm.
which is brought on by stress. And of course, my career has been all about
Yeah.
stress, getting deadlines and very complicated things, and telling lawyers and accountants what to do, and making sure my client was marching down the road and was communicating well. Um, and the other was just evolving. I got feedback from my family along the way that I wasn't listening very well
Mm.
to them. That I thought I controlled a lot more than I actually did.
Mm.
So I had to look at that, and I began realizing that as sort of as powerful as I think I am, and as many things as I've done, I really only control four things, and four is not a very big number. So I
Hmm.
control my attitude. I control the amount of effort I'm willing to put into something. I control my behavior, well, usually, and I control the actions I choose to take.
Mm.
Everything after that is associated with other people, and it's about influence. And my influence can go up or down depending on how I handle myself. So that's that issue by itself of kind of letting go of the things I don't control and learning to accept things. Big step.
Yeah.
Became a much better listener, much more compassionate. It's good. It
That's
is a big step in evolving as a person.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love what you said earlier too about your relationships and realizing when it's time to move on. I mean, in a way, right? Like where like you're kind of like helping us see the healthy parts of being able to manage versus having to do things out of obligation.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, there are some people, I guess it's a personality type who really just wants to be a pleaser and
Hmm.
is willing to say yes when they know instantly they should say no, but they don't. I'm not like that. I think my wife is a lot more like that than I am. Um, but coming to terms with yourself, this is really the starting place for thriving. It's the starting place in my book. You've got to know yourself. You've got to do inventories about, what you're good at, what you are not good at, what you like and what you don't like, what your values are. You just have to know that kind of. You can't just do it once and then 10 years later say, "Oh, I already did it."
Hmm.
You're changing, the world is changing, so you need to keep at that kind of thing and keep observing yourself and your interactions with other people, and choose to grow.
Yeah, I love that. Choose to grow. That's what everyone should have that as a mantra. What do you think maybe for advice for someone if they're because I feel like there's a lot of people in this camp and I think you speak directly to this when someone's feeling unfulfilled or
Yeah.
lacking that aliveness. What do you advise that person to do?
Yeah. I'm really sorry to report that this is a big deal. It's a big issue,
Hmm.
and for a lot of people, and a lot of the answers people try to come up with are not the right answers. Working harder is
Hmm.
not the answer. Getting a divorce is not necessarily could be part of the answer, but it's not really the core of the issue. Fulfillment is one of these things where it's how you feel. What you're working on matters, that you feel seen and appreciated. So you're building support. You're building people who are in your camp who say,
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to spending time with you. I'm looking forward to more conversations of this type and that type. I want to learn from you, and I hope I can share things with you. Um, this exists in our personal lives and it exists in our work lives. And a lot of people think that if the work is not good and they're complaining because they have a terrible boss, and I've had some terrible bosses, so I understand. I understand the pain of that. um, or somebody else in their life is creating. You have to take responsibility. If you're there, you're choosing, you're
Hmm.
making choices about it, and you have to own up. You're making mistakes. You have to look at those things and say, what am I doing here? Yes, there were other people in the story, but at the end of the day, here's the role I played, and it wasn't good. I look back, that was X number of years ago. I wouldn't do that now because I've, become a stronger, a better person. But faced with something else, I need to pull away and think about it, come to terms with who I am and what really
Hmm.
matters. People spend a lot of time. This is one of the big choices around how you spend your time. And if you're spending your time with things that don't matter or are upsetting to you, you really need to take a look at that and say, what am I going to do about it? That doesn't mean you do something rash and careless, but need to come to terms. Maybe give yourself, I'm going to sort this out within the next 6 months. I'm going
Hmm.
to find a new job. I'm going to ask for a transfer to a different department. I'm going to experiment. I mean, life can be a series of like eighth grade experiments. Sometimes they work right away. Sometimes you got to tinker with them, and sometimes they don't work at all. So if you're willing to experiment, maybe say, the way I've been handling this at the office, especially with my boss, is this, and I can see that has not worked. So let me try something different. Let me ask for input. Let me ask for advice. Let me not bristle because I think I know what I'm doing. Bristle when I get sort of overmanaged. Try something new. And maybe after all your efforts that doesn't work, well, maybe a transfer, maybe a new organization to work with. Same in relationships. The toxic relationships are around a lot of people, and they try to bite the stiff upper lip and carry on, but it creates a lot of pain that you just can't get away from. So these are unfulfilled lives in multiple different ways potentially. It's almost the opposite of thriving.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. It's important too to recognize that you mentioned it earlier, being on autopilot, right? And I feel like a lot of people can stay there and not ever be aware that they need to like have some kind of pattern interrupt, to be able to disrupt that everyday kind of like thinking.
Yeah, and this goes back to one of the other things. So we're choosing how we spend our time. We're choosing who we're spending our time with. We're choosing our habits. So how many people do we know who could say, oh, I could quickly tell you what my habits are. I can tell you my good habits. I can tell you my bad habits. And I can tell you the habits that I wish I had that I don't have yet. I don't know anybody like that. Maybe me.
Yeah.
So doing an inventory of that type then allows you then to do a lot more assessing of your feelings. What's going on? How are you feeling? And it's okay to just check in. And part of the habit that I use that is just really great is journaling. Now, I don't journal all the time. I mean, some people are, that's kind of what they do. I journal when I'm stuck. I journal when I'm upset and confused. And I have to, there's a ball of wax. There are multiple things that have gone on, maybe over a period of time, and multiple people, and I got to pull it apart, dissect it, and then say, okay, what was going on? What role did I play? And why did I feel the way I did? And then say, okay, what am I going to do differently? Do I want to feel that way? Continually to feel that way? No, I don't. So, who's in charge here? Who's driving this bus?
Yeah. No, that's so good. And what do you think is like, well, let me ask you this question, my favorite one. What is your number one piece of advice for people on doing the thing?
Yeah, doing the thing. Well, I think relationships are absolutely key, but the most important relationship we'll ever have in our lives is one with ourselves. So you got to love yourself. You got to get through and forgive yourself for the stuff you did. You got to forgive other people. You got to stop self-sabotaging. You got to let go because as I said, you don't control all that much. And so getting do the thing means doing a lot of self-care, routinely taking care of yourself, whether that's physical, emotional, spending time recharging, maybe out in nature. That doesn't mean being hedonistic and, blowing a lot of money on stuff. It's about treating yourself with dignity. And once you do that, and you can recover from setbacks, you can rebuild, go forward, and build resilience. It's like a muscle. Grit is a muscle that you have a lot more ability to have the impact that you're hoping to have. You can do the thing.
And what is making you feel the most alive right now? What's kind of your most exciting thing you're working on?
Well, I'm excited about this creating a movement around redefining success. There's some elements. One of the elements, of course, was aging well. So I'm looking at all these, the be and the do, It's a compact set of ingredients. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about expanding my collaborators so that I'm not a solo guy,
Hmm.
just with a megaphone and three people are following me like Pied Piper or something. Something could have some impact. I think it would help a lot of people. I think it would be good. And I don't. I don't have any false illusions about this. People follow money for a reason, and it's not going to be easy to get that repositioned in necessarily a healthy way. But I think we need to have more talk, more conversation, more images of alternatives
Yeah.
that are available to people, more people who we respect and like, who are not focused only on the fancy, swishy, big title, amazing compensation things.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because when you start the movement, that's when everyone is talking too, right? So it's like all the voices and around the message, which is it's really exciting to do that.
We'll have
Yeah.
to talk more.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so tell us, where do we find all the things? How do we get your book? And yeah, sign up for all your things.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, so the easiest is just go to my book website, which is randselig.com,
Okay.
RANDSELIG.com. My book is available, everywhere at Amazon and, all the independents, Barnes and Noble, and so on. I did do the audiobook. So
Hmm.
a lot of people buy both the print or the ebook. It's in ebook form too, and the audio because as they're driving along, they can hear my voice and feel some energy and some encouragement. But then they can go back to the book because there's some exercises. It's in some ways it's a little bit like a workbook. About every 3 pages, I'm saying, here's a question that comes from the last few pages. And if you take a piece of paper and pencil and write down your answers to it, and you can come back to it anytime you want, you're going to have much more connection with this thing. You understand yourself better. You have more ability to get out in the world
Hmm.
in the way you'd like to see yourself. So some people like going back and forth. And, as far as I'm concerned, have it all, do it all, whatever works for you.
Yeah, I love it. So good. Well, this has been so incredible getting to talk to you. I'm so excited for everybody to get your book and really be a part of what you're building. It's really, really incredible.
Well, again, thank you
Mhm.
for inviting me. I'm very delighted with all the things that I understand that you're doing, and I can't keep up with it all because you're creating new things all the time, and so I hope we'll continue to build a relationship and
Yeah.
have more conversations.
Thank you. And thank you so much for listening and do the thing. Don't wait for opportunity, create it. And hey guys, have you checked out my Facebook group yet? Go to dothethingcollaboration.com.